The Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1959, Cuban dictator Batista was overthrown in a revolution led by Fidel Castro. Castro and his followers began taking over private land. Cubans against the revolution fled to the United States. In 1961, John F. Kennedy took office. The U.S. feared Castro would align himself with the Soviet Union. In an attempt to oust Castro, the U.S. decided to come up with a plan. They wanted to do so in such a way that they would not look responsible for an attack. Kennedy and the administration decided to invade using 1,400 Cuban exiles. April 15, 1969. The U.S. puts Cuban symbols on planes and performs airstrikes on Cuban bases. April 16th. Cuba becomes aware the U.S. is attacking. April 17th. 1,400 Cuban exiles move into an area known as the Bay of Pigs. April 19th. Invading forces are pushed back to shore with over 100 men dead and over 1,000 captured. Castro makes a deal with the U.S. He will hand over the captured exiles in exchange for $58 million in aid and supplies. Exiles and the CIA blame Kennedy administration, saying they were not willing to provide more U.S. backing during the invasion. Kennedy argues back, saying the CIA did not provide correct information and made him believe the invasion would lead to an uprising against Castro. Consequently, Castro gains greater control of Cuba and openly supports communism. To resist future invasion, Castro opens himself up to receive nuclear missiles from the Soviet Union. Missiles in Cuba offer closer range of reach, ability to hit Washington, D.C. and the rest of the U.S. October 14, 1962, American aircraft notices missiles in Cuba. October 15th, Kennedy is informed about the missiles. Kennedy's administration, also known as XCOM, believed that an invasion of Cuba was the only option, but doing so could lead to MAD, also known as MAD, Mutual Assured Destruction. October 19th, the U.S. moved in with a blockade, calling it a quarantine line because a blockade is known as an act of war. Ships work to prevent the transport of missiles into Cuba. DEFCON is a list of 5 progressive levels of alert, with 1 being the highest level. The U.S. moved to DEFCON 3 and informed the UN, which the Soviet denied. The U.S. then moved to DEFCON 2 and began preparing for war. Kennedy and his advisors devised a plan, but decided to hold on in hopes of diplomacy. October 27th, also known as Black Saturday, Khrushchev releases a broadcast asking the U.S. to remove its missiles from Turkey. The U.S. and the Soviet decided to come to an agreement. The U.S. would remove its missiles from Turkey and Italy, and the Soviet would do the same. The U.S. also agreed to leave Cuba alone. The following month, the U.S. removed blockades from Cuban seas. Later, the Soviet became viewed as weak, and Khrushchev eventually lost power 2 years later. Castro felt betrayed by the Soviets. And this is an overview of the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis.